editing me here. I'm eating some Taco Bell, and it came to my attention that this video needs prefacing. Um, so it's some comment section beef followed by a critique of this guy's. Why are you so fucking? My Steam Deck has been looping over and over again through its boot ever since I tried to update cryo utilities, and now it's bugging the fuck out. So I got to fix that. But god damn, it's interrupting me constantly. Main point is it's a long video. The opening section is going to be pretty much just the comment section, where I go through and I explain what was going on, and everything will be visible on screen. So I'm not trying to hide anything. The next major thing that happens is I try to prove that I'm skilled at my job, and then I immediately realize, oh shit, my software is broken, my servers are bugging the fuck out, and I have to go fix that too. Yeah, I have a lot of things that are breaking lately, but it doesn't really matter. So carrying on, the final thing is I respond to his video. Um, I have a little text blurb that shows up there, and he has since deleted or hidden or privated a lot of his content. I won't be doing that. That's not something I do. He likely did it in response to me calling him out and saying, "Hey, I looked over your shit. You don't seem like you play these kinds of games. You seem like you come from Call of Duty. Your background is very clearly obvious. You don't know what you're talking about. You're misrepresenting these arguments. You're not responding to what's being said, and that's pretty typical of people in my comment sections when they don't agree with me. I write these long explanations and I try to explain things and I try to be as in depth as possible, and they just don't. They don't. You know, they don't want to cooperate. They don't want to read what's being said. They just want to say, "Oh, it's too many words. I'm not paying attention." And to be clear, no ill will towards this guy. He clearly doesn't know better. He's clearly trying to be a personality. I throw insults. I'm an asshole. It's what I do. I get heated when people say stupid shit and they lie and they be scummy about things, and what happens. But yeah, I think he could benefit from some of the things that I say towards the end, where I show some textbooks that I currently have in the background right there. Yeah, right there where my thumb is. Um, and I say, hey, go check these out. And like I love learning things, and I like little niche facts, and I wish I had some of my IT equipment, and I do wish that section could work where I could show all that stuff. But this was like a 2+ hour video, so it was already super long. So it's probably best that I cut out the like 20 minutes of me trying to get that server to work in the middle, because I did that. Yeah, I still have a turn paper to write. I haven't gotten to that yet. Obviously. So I'm gonna finish my burrito, and I'm gonna get to that. Updating loudly again. God damn it! As you can see, it's bugging out still. I love having the shit that I start. Oh, holy shit, it worked! But Decky Loader clearly broke. God damn it! I gotta fix more shit. Anyways, doesn't matter. So editing me, I'm out of here. Go enjoy or don't. It's a lot to sit through, but I feel that it is. While it's my usual rambly bullshit, there's a lot of good things in there. Maybe one day I'll finish that video and you'll all be able to actually see. So we'll see. Enjoy. All right. I've uh, I've been having a bit of a spat, as we'll call it, and it reminded me. Yeah, I forgot to upload that video that I made months back about how let me solidify all that proof that I actually claim exists after I'd already made a video called Proof that Delta Force does not have EOMM or SBMM. Now, people have tried to come at me many times, from many different angles, on my take on this, and none have better exemplified the complete destruction of common sense and rational thinking in people nowadays than this guy, Uncle Rotcharm, who will be promptly banned after this video because I wanted to be able to still refer to his comments and use them as an example of what I'm talking about. But this behavior is no longer tolerated in my comment section. You will be kicked out if you do it twice. So, did it twice. Didn't want to fucking learn. So, he's gone after this. But, moving on. The point is, Call of Duty added the engagement optimized, performance based matchmaking, whatever you want to call it. Now, I've made multiple videos on the subject explaining how these systems actually are supposed to work and how they worked up until Call of Duty really normalized the more monetization scheme version of it. But when Call of Duty did that, and it normalized the term skill-based matchmaking, it ruined people. In much the same way that TDS ruined people. And turned them into slobbering, slack-jawed retards. And in that, many people are in complete denial of anything that goes against their preconceived notions of reality. They see something they want to be true, and they say, well, I want it to be true, so therefore it has to be true. Regardless if this is true or not, they don't care, because that's not the important bit of information. The important bit of information to them is that they are right, is how I'm going to phrase it. They will deny anything and everything that is presented to them, and then just consistently say, oh, but I'm right because whatever, and they'll just give the same reasons over and over again, and then they'll say, effectively, oh, and I already know you're going to respond like a crybaby or whatever, and you're just wrong and you're not happy about it. I write very long responses to people because I like to be very thorough. I'm very verbose. I like to be as informationally dense as I can be. If there is something that needs to be said, in my opinion, I'm going to say it, regardless of how long it takes to get through it. Many people don't like that, but, you know, whatever. To the people who are like, oh, you fucking typed out a huge wall of text, I'm not reading that. Well, you're a fucking baby, and you will be kicked out as well. I'm not tolerating that. Adults is my audience, and you will act like an adult here. The point is, we're going to cover this, not just from Uncle Rot's perspective, and showing what happens to people when you abuse your position in the gaming industry to create horrible things and ruin games that don't have it by making it impossible to really, you know, allow people to be like, oh, this is fine. No, it's bad. The point here is, in that video, within the first couple of seconds, I basically explain it's not in the game. There's things that you can point to that show skill-based matchmaking and engagement-optimized matchmaking and performance-based matchmaking are not present because of a variety of other factors. And those other factors are things that I'll get into. But people will oftentimes point out with games like Call of Duty, where you're in a situation where it's like 6v6 or 10v10, and that's a very small lobby, and you can heavily influence the outcome of a match towards a win or a loss with your own actions. In a game like Battlefield, where they do have skill-based matchmaking, it's harder to directly influence your win-loss ratio. But in all of that, there's one thing you have to realize. Any game where your win-loss ratio is counted, particularly when you are a late join, that's a good telltale sign that, okay, engagement optimized is not a factor here. Because if it's counting your losses when you could have done nothing to prove it, as I say in the video, I don't really say it outright, but there is one where I think I got like 2 kills and 27 assists, but it was only in the match for like 9 minutes, and these are like 30-minute games. So if I'm only in the game for a third of the time, and most of what I'm doing is assisting teammates, and I'm not getting kills myself, well, that's going to heavily influence whether or not we win the match, in the regard that I'm helping, but we ended up losing that match. And because I wasn't there for the most of the game, my influence is greatly diminished, especially when there were 31 other people on my team who maybe most of them were there, maybe only half of them were. But that doesn't matter, because if a game allows you to be counting win-loss ratio, and it counts games where you could not have possibly been involved in the win or the loss, that's how you know the game is most likely not using these modern Western performance and engagement systems to handle matchmaking. Now, I've explained it many times. I think I even drew a chart in one of my videos to explain it. But they, for years, these studios had a tier of where things fell. And in that tier list of priority, uh, your skill, if you will, was either not factored in or it was very low in terms of priority, with the old system being referred to as a ping is king system. If your ping is the most important thing above skill, that's what distinguishes a skill-based matchmaking system from just a matchmaking system. Um, I hate that I have to point this out so often, but skill as a factor in matchmaking has existed since like the early like 2000s. Like this has been around. It was in Call of Duty since like the late 2000s. Like this is pre 2010 technology, but because ping is king was still the higher priority system until roughly 2019 2020, these systems didn't really matter to most people. So when I say something like skill-based matchmaking is not in the game, I am referring to the priority of these mechanics. Now, these have pretty much always been in the game. You're not going to put, baby mode first player in a lobby with, the like actual professional players. Um, Now some systems do allow for that. With direct connect systems where you either have the IP or you see the servers in a server list and it allows you to connect that way. And then there's just matchmaking's not a factor at all. You're just connecting with, whoever the fuck else connected to that server. And that's no longer matchmaking based. That's a direct connect system, which is entirely different thing. But there are systems that allow for that in very similar ways, where the matchmaking directly accounts for that kind of thing, where it says, oh, community server, fine, screw it, let them connect to that as part of the automatic matchmaking system. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, um, one thing that we need to realize is that not everyone understands all of the things that go into these modern systems that are what I like to treat as a influenced matchmaking system, where the matchmaking is being skewed directly, intentionally, by the company, the game, the developer, whoever. So when I say that is not present in Delta Force, there's a variety of things that I point to. As I've already said, win-loss is not actually a even remotely a form of proof. So with many of these games, particularly games like Delta Force, where there are 31 other players who are influencing the outcome of this match, your individual contributions are relatively small, to the point where winning and losing is a complete toss-up. You either are going to win or you're going to lose, and it's more like a 50% chance. Now, I'm not going to go into the game and show my entire friends list, but I have people in my list, and I say this later and you'll be able to view it on screen. I have people in my friends list in Delta Force with 80% win rates, and I have people with 30% win rates or lower. I have one guy with a 0% win rate. He has literally never managed to win a match. I do not know how, but that shit's hilarious. He has since quit. So if engagement matchmaking was a thing, he slipped through the cracks pretty fucking hard. But let's go through what has been said here. So this match history just exposed. EOMM kills deaths, wrong area. Look at the win-loss and its pattern. That's what keeps the average minds playing. So this is one thing that I like to say. Nowadays, it's become very popular to just bandwagon. But on top of the bandwagoning, there's one more important thing that this guy in particular does that really pisses me off. It is the abuse of keywords and just like slamming in fancy sounding terms, and just mashing as many of them in there and being like, this makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. First off, this guy can't even properly, formulate a sentence, and use punctuation and capitalization. So his syntax is abhorrent. So, God damn it. Whatever. It annoys me, but it's, screw it. It's not the biggest problem with him. But he uses things like loops. He uses things, outcome brackets, digital prediction model, and he tries to explain how these things work. The problem is, I am an IT guy. I know that I keep bringing this up, but it's kind of important to point out that I know what I'm looking at. I know what you're saying. I know what you're trying to convey. You just clearly don't know what you're trying to convey, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I keep trying to explain this when I say things like, oh wow, yet another know-nothing scrubs who thinks they can step up and try to use, this one thing to try to be their entire argument, and they're not even aware of what they're saying because they're just wrong. So, and I'll link my video as well, and this guy's channel, so you can go see that I'm not just making this up. This guy's entire personality is just trying to prove that these things exist in games. And it's like, yeah, you're telling us about games we already knew these were in. Like, these aren't new information. But because I'm one of the few people that consistently has been saying over the years, these systems are A, not new, and B, not every game has them. But because he knows that Call of Duty has a system where it tries to settle to that 50% win ratio. That's all he knows. That's all he understands. He doesn't know anything really deeper than that. He doesn't understand things like the hierarchy and ping is king. He clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. But that's besides the point. He goes on here to say, he has 41 battles and only won 20 in this video, 48.78% win rate, basically dead center of the EOMM comfort zone. First off, EOMM, what you are trying to use as proof of EOMM is a roughly 50% win rate, which, as I explained, and he ignores, we'll see that later, I have people on like 80% and 0%, so clearly that's not a thing. He's using a outcome that is a possible outcome of engagement optimized matchmaking to prove the existence of engagement optimized matchmaking in the game, which is, I don't even know what fallacy that is, but you can't use an outcome to prove the cause. That's not how that works. And I go on to explain here, one, you are looking at a video that is taken relatively early in that season, so 20 matches early in the season is not even indicative of the later season points. There's a huge gap in between those two things. So my win rate being there already is not, that's not a a telling point in complete denial of the, basic statements that come after this point, because that is a very early section of the video that he's using to try and prove that he's right, which is already, we know that's just not how that works, but he's using it anyways in complete denial of everything else that's said. So after saying, hey, if you look, my win rate is usually about 60%, not 50. And then he later on goes to say, 60% is basically 50. No, it's not. Look, if I have people at 80 and people at 30 and then a guy at 0, clearly it's not in the game. Plus the developer said it's not in the game. And the other things that I used as proof are what I'm going to get into now. So, as you can see on screen, I'll leave it up, are things I said later on, where I basically explain these are things that show a system is not happening. One of the biggest things that shouldn't be happening in an engagement optimized setting that happens in Call of Duty because it's really badly done is consistency. So algorithms are good for numbers and data. They're not good with people. It works, but it's never perfect. So in that video, I go through to show basically the match history for a long period of time. and I show, I'm like, look, I'm in the top 20, 25%, sometimes even in the top 5 players, not even just on my team, sometimes in the whole fucking server. And if I'm there long enough, that's basically just going to happen. And I've explained in other videos on Delta Force where I explain this and I try to, break it down. There's 3 brackets of people in every single match. You're going to have the top performers. You're going to have that tiny cream of the crop up there where that's like the best of the best in that top performer category. Then below that, you're going to have, your middle road people. Maybe they're sniping and they're not super, racking up score. And then you're going to have the low down bracket where it's effectively just either they showed up late or they are just completely not. They're in left field. They're not doing shit. Like they're back there sniffing the fucking flowers and looking at all the pretty textures. They're not paying any attention to the game whatsoever. They're being completely useless. You can't do anything about that. Now in Call of Duty, it's much easier to mash these matchmaking systems in because you can more accurately skill gap those people down to just being in those 3 tier brackets. And Battlefield struggles with it a little bit less because it's a little less strict in modern Battlefield, but it is there. So it's not like it can't be done, but consistency is what's not there. You shouldn't be fluctuating nearly as much depending on the systems being there or not. And I am consistently in that top performing bracket of 25% and up usually. So unless I'm joining incredibly late, my score is pretty high. And even if I am joining late, I'm closer to the middle than I am the top. And I'm still definitely far from bottom. But that didn't matter to him. He didn't want to hear about that. So when I tried to explain this, he goes on to say, no disrespect. Really? No disrespect. None whatsoever? First off, you assaulted my eyes with your horrible syntax, but, whatever. You're reacting emotionally to a critique that wasn't personal. First off, no, you made this personal. You are, first off, claiming I acted emotionally. No. The only emotional parts are, there we go, where I called you a fucking scrub, and where I, basically insult you and call you fucking stupid. Everything else is me outright objectively saying what you did or didn't do, and then pointing out the content that you ignored. So that's not an emotional response. That's me insulting you for being a fucking dipshit and pointing out all of the information you didn't care about. So here's where things get interesting, where you can tell that this guy and a lot of people have been corrupted by games like Call of Duty, abusing the ability to influence matchmaking. So he admits, yes, skill is fuzzy. And first off, he represents his argument by doing this, where he, uses what's called, I believe it's the expert fallacy or something like that, where you cite experts and studies to prove your point, which is kind of shady as fuck, but it's also blatantly obvious that he doesn't understand what he was reading, and he just understands the potential outcomes based on the fact that every video that I watched some of his content just to make sure that this wasn't just a one-off, because the second I noticed that his entire channel description was about how he fights against these systems, I immediately knew that this guy was a fucking dumbass. But anyways, when you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to appeal to, saying, hey, these guys know what they're talking about, believe them. Well, sure, I'm doing the same thing when I say I've played these games for decades now, and I know what I'm talking about, and I went into the IT field. So if there's anything about connectivity, like networking, which is what matchmaking is, that's a networking system, I know what I'm talking about. I've been working with it for years. So I'll recognize a ping is king over an influenced system because I know what to look for. This guy just knows one thing that could indicate it. He knows an indicator, but he doesn't understand how that indicator ties back to the actual system itself and what things can disprove that indicator being an actual proper indicator. Anyways, first off, he claims he's not challenging that it's about skill, which is not true, because win-loss rate is an indicator, but it's a part of what engagement optimized factors. So if you're EOMM as a system puts things like skill and playtime into account. They want to maximize your playtime by giving you lobbies with what's called, I don't know if this is the official terminology, but a lion and a sheep match. So you're going to get a lion match less frequently than you are sheep matches, where you're going to perform very highly, and they're going to put it real close so that you're getting just enough lion matches that you don't quit, but you're going to get primarily sheep matches. You're going to get that lion match every once in a while, which, as I say, is tied back to skill, because it has to factor in how good are you versus the other players, which is where 64-player lobbies get complicated, because when you have 64 players versus 12 or even 20 in a lobby, you end up with issues where there's too many people to properly factor in all of the skills. So you get wild fluctuations match to match. But that's why win-loss isn't always the best thing to look at, because it doesn't necessarily reflect all the information, which is not important. Because he goes and says, "Oh, it's all math. It's all arithmetic. If your win rate is 60%, that's worth noting. It doesn't invalidate what was visible." Look, the point here is you don't know what you're talking about. There are other things in the video that you had to ignore, and now that I point them out, you go and say that doesn't even matter. Look, first off, I don't trust UCLA in the slightest. It produces a lot of fucking dipshits. It's not a reliable university anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. Even in 2017, I wouldn't have trusted them, because I have two eyes, and I play these games myself, and I went on to work in this field. I'm not a researcher. I'm just a guy who works in that field, so I know what I'm looking at. Anyways, I know I'm rambling once again. So moving forward here, this guy goes on to say right here, skill is fuzzy, because I asked him, I'm like, you have to prove what the fuck you're talking about. Skill is a factor. As I explained, there are things that could be because of it, like your win-loss, but those are not proof of it. There's a difference between something existing and proving the existence of the thing. You can't use the outcome to prove the cause. That doesn't work that way. But even if we go on that, he says, oh, these systems today use dozens of signals. That's not a term anyone uses. Beyond kill-death ratio, objective score, time alive, session frequency, social behavior. You are right. Yes, they do use a lot of things in that. But what you have to ignore is that all of those things need to be accounted for. Like I said, win-loss ratio is not proof of your argument. You can't say skill isn't really what you need to argue. No, this is a part of it. That's why it's a hierarchy, and that's why there's so many different forms of it, but I lump it all in under, the generalized term of outcome kind of, generating matchmaking, where it's influenced. But, he goes on, he says, I pointed out a visible rhythm. That's not a term that anyone uses, which is, again, like I'm saying, if you don't know what you're talking about, you're likely to start trying to sound like you do, like you know what you're talking about. Look, you can play as many games as you want, but if you don't actually know what the systems are and you can't even explain how it works properly, and you have to stuff in keywords like that, I know you're not being genuine. You don't even care to research at all. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he's like, you might call it a coincidence. I see calibration. Again, not the term at all that would be used. You just showed the system from one angle. I responded from another. let's not pretend the pattern doesn't deserve scrutiny. I later on, in this next comment, go on to say it isn't actually a pattern. You saw an early point in the game. You literally are a CoD player coming from your experience in games like Call of Duty and trying to apply one specific thing that is a indicator as your proof. You can't do that. That's not how that works. And on top of that, two very different systems. And he doesn't describe these systems properly at all. And he uses these terms. Which is why I then go on to say a couple of things here. I'm like, look, you clearly have a bias. You have a very obvious bias towards needing it to be there for your arguments to work. You want it to be there. That's your whole channel's point. That's the only reason you've existed for 2 years or whatever, since last year. I think it was like last July. Look, if the developer said it isn't there, and the developer showed how the matchmaking works, which he doesn't know, he doesn't care, he doesn't trust them, and he doesn't even play the game, most likely, because I can see the games that he's talked about, and I can see the games he's uploaded. He doesn't look for that. He looks for EOMM, SBMM, that's it. That's all he cares about. So, doesn't matter. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and that was already obvious. But he treats the developers as though they're lying. So, if you can't trust the developers when they explain how the system works, which is basically, there's a new player bracket where you are locked off from regular matchmaking until you've played a couple of matches and you've gotten used to it. That's the only time that they have a skill-based matchmaking system in the game. And I believe them because I've seen it happen. But once again, that 50% win rate is immediately invalidated by, again, those two major factors. The fact that my win rate's all he could see, and it was roughly 50%. But it was early in the season, and I have people in my friends list he can't see where they have 80% and 30%, so there's a huge margin. So if it is trying to aim for that 50%, that shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't see an 80, a 30, and a 0 way off in the middle of nowhere. Shouldn't be that common, and yet we do. But again, coming from Call of Duty, where win-loss is influenceable very easily because there's a small number of people, and the fact that late joins do not count as losses if you lose, but if you win, it is counted. You ever thought about that? How that works? It's a big telltale sign. And we don't see that here. That's for good reason. Anyways, so I go on to basically say, these 30-minute games, late joins count losses. They count both. You've doubled down, and you clearly only want to explain it based on how Call of Duty does it, and that's true. That's really what he does. So, look, I go on to explain all of these things that influence your score in Delta Force and can put you higher and lower on the leaderboard. But they're not skilled actions, and they don't even necessarily influence winning or losing in any capacity. So, that's things like deploying a spawn beacon, that's driving a vehicle and having somebody spawn into it. That's just dropping a resupply of either medical supplies or ammo and somebody picking some up. There are a lot of things that are not skilled interactions that give positive score. So it's not like you can play the game, get no score at all, and win and have that be indicative. Because you can do the same thing and lose and also have it not matter in the slightest, because your win-loss is not where these things work. Your win-loss ratio is not that big of a deal. Especially in a game with 64 players in the lobby. Now, the other thing is that these systems are designed for revenue generation, which, if you know anything and pay attention to these games, you understand the design philosophy differences between Eastern and Western games, where Western games are really microtransaction heavy in a certain way, and Eastern games are microtransaction heavy in a different way. Gacha style, and just bundle style is how I'm going to phrase that. These systems necessitate different forms of marketing. You can't directly purchase some of the coolest character skins in Delta Force. They are gacha based, and it's rough to say, but I spent like $300 to get the one Hacklaw skin, dope ass skin, but I spent way more on that one skin than I would have ever spent in a Call of Duty game. Which, don't watch any of my Call of Duty footage where I very clearly have paid a lot of money for Call of Duty skins, but I've quit. I swear, I'm cold turkey. I'm not buying Call of Duty again. But the matchmaking systems are part of that marketing strategy, which is why we see EOMM and stuff existing to push these markets in the West, but we don't really see that in Eastern developed games. And Team Jade and the developers behind this have been nothing but open and pretty honest, and I've been playing games by them for quite a few years. So yeah, they're not just doing this stuff and hiding it. And I also go on to say, I'm like, look, I can tell you it's not there. You say it's there, but you don't interact with anything that I say. You have no interest in being genuine and honest in your responses, which is why he's going to be banned after this. But the point here is that I go on and I explain these things. Sure, I insult a lot when I do these things because I'm very passionate about this. Do not lie in my fucking presence. You piss me off when you do that. I have no qualms about being nice about it. I will be very mean if I choose to be. So the reason I'm just straight up not responding is after this, I'm just using this video to explain these things, is because he has no interest in being genuine with what he's saying. So let's just go through here. Manifesto of denial, just enough, technical jargon to sound authoritative, but riddled with contradictions that scream system allegiance. Technical jargon? First off, what the fuck is system allegiance? The actual shit are you talking about? I have a PS4. I'm never buying a PS5. Not stupid. I have a Switch 1. I don't use it. I have a PC. I have a Steam Deck. In fact, it's sitting over there updating. It's done updating. I don't have an allegiance to any system. Also, that's not a term anyone uses. That's brand loyalty? Is that what you're saying? Even here, you're the one spouting technical jargon, not me. I'm the one explaining how these things work. You're the one just giving these brief responses where you shit out a bunch of keywords. You don't understand what you're talking about, and when I try to explain how these things work and where these things come into play and what proves they're not there, you just shit out more technical jargon. That's what you're doing. You're a keyword stuffer, is what you are. But it doesn't matter. You wrote 1,000 words to say 3 things. You admit that these exist. Yes. No shit, they exist. What the fuck is that? That's not an argument. That's just me saying, yeah, they exist. They're not in this game, and here's why. That's what we're having a conversation about, you fucking dipshit. Also, the you wrote 1,000 words thing? Once again, TLDR, bud. Like, you have no intention of responding honestly, because you're not reading. You claim they're not in Delta Force because Des said so. No. That was not what I said. I said, even the devs agree they're not in there, and they told you they lock off the matchmaking for the greater pool and new players. That's what I said, which means you didn't read what you are talking about. You glanced over it, looked for a few important keywords, and said, okay, I understand what I'm looking at. Which is dumb. It's incredibly dumb. And it shows you have no genuine... You don't have shit. You're just an asshole who thinks he knows what he's talking about. We keep citing charts and AMA threads, predictable win-loss loops. Not the right term, you fucking absolute keyword stuffing retard. Curated tension pacing and behavioral modulation. Modulation. God, that threw me off. Holy shit. It's not theory, it's telemetry. That's not what telemetry is. Telemetry, to dumb this down, is one system talking to another. That's the most basic version of telemetry. You want to talk about keyword stuffing and say that I'm the one keyword stuffing, and you misuse the word telemetry. You know, 1 second here. You know, we heart to heart talk. I'm not just an IT guy. I'm a network technician and a security analyst. Telemetry, that's my forte. That's my forte. I don't have a switch on me. I wish I did so I could hold up my fat stack of Cisco switches. This is my profession. Technical jargon? Buddy, that's you. That's you. Telemetry does not mean what you think it means. What's the line? You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Or no, or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Fuck are you talking about? You absolute shit licker. Anyways, carrying on. You keep saying you're an IT guy, but the moment someone reverse engineers your own content, cadence, comment behavior, and contradictions, you spiral. You say that I'm contradicting myself, but you don't respond to anything I've said, so you're not I'm not contradicting myself. It's showing you how things work, and you're in complete denial of reality. So you can't tell me I'm writing a manifesto of denial. You're a fucking idiot, and we'll get into that in a second here. I know this is getting long, but oh well, deal with it. Like, look. I studied your channel. You orbit creators you claim to disagree with. You escalate when challenged. You defend systems you admit exist and mock those who notice them. That's not coincidence. That's mask flipping. No, I make content on things that I find notable and things that I feel need to be said. When people lie about things, I make content on that to disprove the lies. Now, that's not the majority of my content. That's a majority of my content in the last few years, but that's not all the stuff that I do. That's not even close to the most impactful content that I have. That's still the Senran Kagura shit, and I've tried to get away from that. But, by God, that keeps sitting... That gets like 10,000 views a month still, and it's like 7 years old. Jesus fucking Christ, you weirdos. Anyway. The point is... What the fuck are you talking about? We're going to see that you do the same thing, but you do it with no knowledge of what you're talking about. You do it with just only your feels. You don't have any, actual shit to back it up. But if you truly believe Delta Force is immune to the rig, never said that. I just said that it's not there. Which isn't saying it's immune, not that it couldn't be there, just that all the evidence doesn't point to it being there. All the evidence says that it's not. There's too many things that... Put it to you this way. Here's a scale, right? This side of the scale, when that's dropping down, that's the proof that it's there. When this side starts dropping down, that's the side that's saying this is stuff that says it's not there. You're saying that the one thing that you could see for a fraction of a second that could prove your point sets the scale this way. I'm saying there's a lot of things that you ignore that set it this way. And you then go on to basically say, let the data speak. The only piece of data you've said is... And everybody can read his comments, because this will be the only place they're going to exist. He's gone soon, as I keep saying. You keep saying the data this, the data that. I tried showing the data multiple times. In fact, if you were genuine and you actually watched all of my videos on this subject, which you didn't, I know you didn't, you just briefly glanced at titles, there's no way you didn't, because you don't even read the comments or watch the entire video that you're responding on. You would understand that I've gone through and I've explained these things. I explained them in depth multiple times. I explained that hierarchy system back in the day. I called out, content creators who say stupid shit, and I call games out when they do stupid shit. And when I'm positive, it's usually not on YouTube. It's where it matters in my reviews for the games on Steam and in, conversations with people, spreading word of mouth. Not making videos for you. I'm clearly making videos for my personal interest, which... If you were being genuine in your looking through my content, you would notice that I qualify more as a variety streamer than anything else. Because some of my content is just pure raw gameplay. Some of it is me responding to shit. Some of it's me doing tutorials on things, and then some of it's just like airsoft shit where I review products and I show my game footage. Like, you're reaching if you're saying that's what my comment is, but you're also abusing these words that you do not know what they mean. To go back to that again, maybe it's time you log off, not out of defeat but out of clarity, because the more you talk, the more the rig echoes through you. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you are so dumb that it genuinely baffles me. And we're going to get into me proving that he's kind of a fucking dipshit. Mentally ill people have some tells, and this guy's are fucking strong. But he's trying to be a personality streamer is what he is. He's trying to set up a whole persona, and it's cringe, but it's something that these kinds of people do a lot. Anyway, so he comments the same thing multiple times, which is already, like a absolute, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this isn't even like exactly the same comment, which means he typed it out multiple times. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Because anyways, he then goes on to say, I don't have formal education in this space, no degree, no credentials. What I do have is thousands of hours immersed in systems, playing them, documenting them, reverse engineering them. Okay, first off, if you don't have formal education, no degree, no credentials, I highly doubt you are capable of reverse engineering these systems. I could pull up my virtual machines that I have for myself, where I have a testing ground for my professional life, where I set up virtual Cisco switches and Cisco routers, and I test shit there before I send it over into actual machines that I'm working on. Doesn't matter. The point is, no, you know what? I will do that because I'm all about transparency. I tried. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Oh, you reverse engineered that shit? Really? Okay, you don't have, credentials or anything, whatever. You don't need those. I'm not a credentialed individual for my Cisco shit. I should. Oh god, I should be. I should have my Sec Plus, my CCNA, and my Net Plus by now. Hell, I should have something. Fuck, I should have A Plus at the minimum by now. I don't. I'll get around to it one of these days. There's textbooks in the back. I have them. I swear I'm gonna get to it. By 2050, I will have my certs, probably. Maybe. I'll have at least one. Maybe. I'm not even gonna promise, because clearly it's not happening anytime soon. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Point is, buddy, first off, you're liking your own comments. I can tell. Only your comments have one. So, interesting. But what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You say you do. You say cosmetics are required for manipulation. No, they're not. Okay, first off, retention alone is currency. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Player retention drives cosmetic sales. That's what you're ignoring there. You are so full of yourself. So here we go. We're once again going to go through this, and he's not going to prove what he's saying. He's just going to posture and say he knows what he's talking about. Trust me, bro. I already skipped it, didn't I? Yeah, I did. You say you're an IT guy, whatever. You spiral. No, I don't. You say this stuff. You're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about, and this is the most damning thing. This isn't actually 4 hours old. This is, like, way earlier this morning, and I just kind of left the page and didn't refresh it. Doesn't really matter. onboarding curation, early pull calibration, the outcome is the same, an artificially modulated experience. First off, that's not the word anyone uses. So once again, with keyword stuffing, you don't know what we're talking about. First off, as we've already shown, he lied here. I did explain that. You just don't pay attention. And you say it's not just bias, it's observable rhythm. That's not the word people use. That's not at all what we say. But whatever, you don't know what terms mean, so you're just going to use whatever sounds right. Anyways. Artificially modulated experience? Also not the word. But whatever. You keep saying it can't be EOMM but your evidence is developer words, personal anecdotes, and your own inability to feel the system? You trust your instincts as an IT guy, yet dismiss system-level signals like engagement loops, invisible tension curves, and win-loss normalization? First off, I explained to you how the win-loss is a sign, but not evidence of. It could be, but it's not, because of all the other things that are weighted heavily against that being the case. So when you say, oh, you use, your evidence is developer words, the people who made the game should be not lying to you, but you are a Call of Duty guy, as I'll prove, so you are used to developers that are lying bastards. You say onboarding curation must be evidence of the greater matchmaking pool being influenced? First off, that's not, again, how that works. That's, again, you are using a specific thing as evidence of proof of a greater thing, and not realizing that you can't do that. Those things don't connect that way. That's not how that works. That's some fallacy that I don't know the name of, but it doesn't matter because I can very clearly say that's a fallacy and you don't know what you're talking about. But you say cosmetics are required for manipulation, retention alone as currency. If using Epic Games infrastructure, it's part of the cross-platform, yada, 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 yada. Delta Force doesn't use EGS, though, does it? If I'm not mistaken, it's... I think that's... I forget which one they use, but it's not Epic. First off, that's not even proof of anything. Like, if the game's using Epic's infrastructure, that's a cross-platform analytics ecosystem? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, you are keyword stuffing the shit out of this with information you got from, like, forums, and you just read things, and you hear what people say, and you just run with it. Yeah, everything has data behind it, and data can be used to present things, and it can be used to manipulate things later if you do so choose to. But the evidence of the manipulation is not there. You saw one thing for a fraction of a second with none of the other evidence to back it up, and all the things I present say that that's not what happened, and yet you run with it as proof, which isn't fair or true. You're being incredibly disingenuous, and that's why you're banned. Anyways. The irony, that's not how irony works, but whatever. You defend the rig, it's not rigged, by denying it while describing it. The fuck are you talking about? New player pools. That's not EOMM, SBMM, or PBMM. Weighted onboarding. I never said there was weighted onboarding. I said there was a new player bracket where you were sectioned off. This isn't a thing. That implies skill. And that's also keyword stuffing because that's not a thing. Score over skill signals. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you saying because the KDA isn't the only factor in score that must mean something in the matchmaking systems? Like, no. First off, that's not how that works. And second off, you don't play the game, so I don't expect that you know what the fuck you're talking about in regards to it. So you heard me say something and explain that thing, and then you just ran with it, as we can see. As again, all of this is on footage, so anybody who wants to go back through this video and read everything, you're free to do so. That's how you build an environment where the illusion of fairness masks the reality of modulation. Moderation. The word you are looking for is moderation or curation. Curated and moderated experiences. Modulation? God fucking damn it. Modulation is like a wave. That's like your sine waves, and that's how do I explain this in layman's terms? Modulation is like turning up and turning down. That's like dialing things in. That's like if you are how do I describe this? That's like making sure that your pasta is al dente. You're trying to modulate the pasta's outcome. Or I'm sorry, you're modulating the temperature rather than influencing the pasta's outcome. You are changing one thing to impact the other. Moderation and curation are not the same as modulation. They sound similar and they're very similar words, but they're not the same thing. It's a different thing. Once again, with not understanding what words mean. This isn't East versus West, it's transparent versus obscure. These developers do constant displays and explanations of the systems. You want to talk about transparent or obscure and not being East versus West, I explained how those two are different. I explained how this is Eastern and Western design philosophy for games for the marketing aspect, which is the whole reason EOMM, SBMM, and things exist, is to sell you shit. That's their whole existence. That's why they're there, whether you accept that or not. Because paying with your time only works if there's earnable currency. If the cosmetics are not earnable, then you cannot pay with your time. That destroys your entire argument that time is the currency you pay with, because it's not. They have to do that. Retention is not currency. Anyways. It's not obscuring anything. Nobody's hiding shit. They're being very open, and I tried to be open with you and explain these things. The best counterpoint you have is you just don't understand. No, you don't understand, and here we see my entire explanation with all of my stuff visible. So if you ever want to come back and reference this, you're still banned, so you're not going to be able to comment, because you're just a disingenuous piece of shit, but you'll be able to see what I said. You'll be able to, at least try to learn something, but you don't care about learning. That's obvious. And, whatever. Ignoring system-level consistency and adaptive behavior mapping? What the fucking keyword stuffing shit, dude? Quit it. Maybe it's not that the cogs aren't turning, it's that you've mistaken the machine for a mirror. What the actual fuck? You Reddit mod dipshit. Anyways. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you're fucking stupid. Anyways. You've got citations, I've got pattern recognition. No, I have pattern recognition. I tried to explain that, but you don't pay attention. You've got AMA threads. I didn't cite an AMA thread. I just said the developers have been saying these things. I've got telemetry logs and lived behavioral data. What the fuck? No, you don't have telemetry logs, because these aren't things... Again, to go back to what telemetry actually is and what shows up in a telemetry log, you are trying to tell me that you can tell a system is there based on the arbitrary data packets that are transmitted from your computer to the server? What the fuck are you talking about? Even I can't do that, and that's my job. Like, if I can't tell you through telemetry data whether or not a system operates in a certain way, you sure as shit can't either. So, what the fuck are you talking about? And lived behavioral data? Motherfucker, I have, 2,000 hours in modern Call of Duty games from, 2019 to now. Lived behavioral data? First off, that's not a thing. Behavioral data? You're not a data analyst. I can already tell, or you wouldn't be so fucking full of yourself and misusing these terms. But lived behavioral data? What the fuck does that mean? You're trying to say that you've played the games. You played primarily Call of Duty and other small-scale games, but you clearly don't have experience in larger games like Battlefield all that much. Doesn't matter. You appeal to expertise. Need I remind everybody, he was kind of the one that did that the first and the most with, literally saying the study by these experts at UCLA. What the fuck are you talking about? I appeal to results. You ignored things that go against what you are claiming intentionally. And they keep showing the same curve: manipulated pacing, engagement first matchmaking, and retention first design. My God, you smarmy bitch. You clearly don't play the game. Like, it's obvious from your channel, and we're about to look at that. Like, it's incredibly obvious that you don't know what you're talking about, and you're just full of shit. Because you can't know these things. You have no fucking proof, and if you did, you would have shown it by now, but you don't. So no, I didn't learn this the traditional way. You don't have to. You're just full of shit. I learned by surviving the grind until I could map the rig blindfolded? What the fuck, you Reddit mod dipshit? When you call that ignorance, no, I call it intentionally not trying to learn anything. That's not ignorance anymore. Ignorance is not the same. I don't know what yours is, but it's a million times worse. Like, it's not just being stupid, it's being intentionally disingenuous. All you're doing is proving how badly the system wants to be interpreted, not questioned. And here's why you're banned. This comment right here. I already know it's more static against the signal. No, it's not. It's you don't pay attention, you don't listen, and you're gone. You're gone as a result. Anyways, let's just go to his videos, right? So we're gonna watch this guy's video and we're gonna talk about it. Because you think that you are the smartest motherfucker on the planet. And we're gonna have to do this here. Because you want to start some beef, so let's start some beef, right? Let's go through your feed here. Let's start here. Welcome to the feed the algorithm can't predict. You don't know how the algorithm works. Yes, it can. This channel began as chaos, Uncle Bot charm rising from the possessed mass to haunt the digital realms of gaming, glitch in the lobby, a scarecrow at the edge of the map, madness, mayhem, and mischief. But something changed. Now we don't just play the game, we name the system. EOMM, monetized rebellion, blah 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 blah. Anyways, okay. Let's be serious here. You are trying to be a personality streamer, and we can see that from these two videos here, which are the perfect examples. You're doing this masked shit where you're like you're trying to be this edgy guy, you're trying to do all this shit, and you're trying to be a certain way, and you're just trying to be edgy. You're trying to be a personality streamer. Like, you're doing all these different masks and you're making it your whole personality that, oh, I'm fighting against engagement optimized matchmaking and skill-based matchmaking and whatever. And you're totally full of it. You don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, but because your video is 9 minutes long, I can only assume, and I didn't watch this yet, but I'm glad I'm getting the chance to now. I can only assume that you're not going to respond to anything that I've said, and based on the fact that I can see, I can't move the fucking goddamn it. Hold on, let me move this out of the way. So, you have an ass mongoloid video down here, and it's clipped out. God damn it! Capture being zoomed in is causing problems again. Let's just shrink it down. There we go. Yeah. You have an ass mongoloid video in your feed. Like, come on, man. Like, you gonna fucking try and tell me that you're a trustworthy guy? You're an ass mongoloid watcher, dude. Like, your feed doesn't lie. Like, that's the full thing. Like, clearly you watch ass mongoloid. Like, really? You fucking dipshit. Anyways, let's get into this.
I just logged into the PS5 and saw that Delta Force was added to the PlayStation Store.
You saw that it was added to PlayStation? It was on PlayStation since fucking months ago. Now I have to look this up because I'm pretty sure it's been on PlayStation, but you already just proved that you don't know what you're talking about by being a PlayStation gamer. Delta Force Hawk Ops. Console release date. Thought it was here for a while. I don't know. Oh, it's coming to the PlayStation. I thought it was there for a while. What the fuck do I know? Wow, I didn't pay any attention. It got a mobile release before it got a console release. Holy shit, you idiots did not deserve to get this game. God damn. Anyways, let's see what he has to say. But already proving that he's not reliable. Console players never are. They're always willing to lie. And, oh boy, snowy ponies.
So before you go ahead and buy that, let me just tell you
Oh,
firsthand.
this audio is so fucking quiet. I forgot about this. I'm sorry.
Hey, what's up, gamers? I just logged into the PS5 and saw that Delta Force was added to the PlayStation Store. So before you go ahead and buy that,
It's free, by the way. That's the biggest thing I want to give as the takeaway. If ever there was going to be a case of engagement loops, um, where they're trying to do this, it would be in a free to play game. But okay, bud, yeah, just buy it. It's free. Costs no money.
let me just tell you firsthand that that game is rigged.
He doesn't have proof, but we'll see.
Yes,
Maybe he
I didn't even
shows
have to
here,
buy
but
the
he
game.
certainly
I
didn't.
tried to play the game when it first came out on PC, and it was free. Free download, just couldn't play it. I was one of the very few that had that issue where the game just kept crashing and everything.
You know, the people who had the crashing issues, they had inferior hardware. And what's really funny is we can see that his stats up here that are on screen, but his GPU and everything are visible for their
Else. So I said,
performance.
okay, well,
And
I'll
he's
never
running
play
at
it.
30%
It's not even
GPU
worth my time.
performance when doing
If it's
recording. Holy
getting
shit.
released in this type of state of experience, right? So I didn't even play it. So instead of me buying the game and going over it,
I didn't even play it. Did I call it or what? He has no experience with the game, so he's just staying with what he thinks he knows, which is wrong, but whatever.
I'm just going to use my knowledge on the system and basically point out a few things for you.
Now he's gonna point it out for you. He's gonna point out for you so that you know, so that he can tell you what you know, but he's not gonna present anything that I've said. I know he's not going to, because he has no intention of being honest.
Now this guy has his camera up. He's talking. I found this video. He says proof that Delta Force does not have EOMM or skill-based
Let's see how
matchmaking, which
fast.
the
I'm gonna make a bet. I guarantee you before 2 minutes, I'll give him another like 60-ish seconds here, he's going to completely misrepresent everything that happens after that initial argument. He's going to not talk about the majority of the video, and he's going to try to tell you how these systems work.
devs pretty much confirmed that. However, they're not going to tell you the truth because
There you go. I don't have to say anything. That right there. 3 seconds after. The devs aren't going to tell you the truth. You're a Call of Duty guy. Of course, your devs aren't going to tell you the truth because you have no experience with this game. You haven't played the game. You just admitted you haven't played the game. You fucking dipshit.
the system is all a fucking lie.
The system's a lie. You haven't interacted with the system. You haven't fucking played the game. What do you know?
So basically, I'm going to go ahead and play this video and wait till he gets to the parts that I need him to get to. I already did the math. I already posted it in his comments. Just
No, you didn't. As everyone can see earlier in my video, you did the math? What the keyword stuffing Redditor fuck are you talking about? You've done no math. You can't have done math. You don't own the game. You haven't played the fucking
to
thing.
make my point across because that's what I do. I'm not here to hate on him, but I'm also here to spread awareness.
Also, by the way, I love that you have the audacity to hide my camera. Here, let me do something for you, bud. Like, go ahead and no, not that. Why are you broken? Come here, come here. Wrestle control that. Hide this. Why are you hiding my camera, bud? My video is publicly visible. Why are you hiding your face? Got something to hide, bud? Is it that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about? Why do you wear a mask? Huh? You think you're fucking Batman or some shit? You fucking weirdo? Redditors, man, I swear.
So we're going to go back a little bit here. Let's go
Couldn't
back.
couldn't even just
Where
timestamp
did
it.
he
Couldn't
pull it
even
up?
just make sure he was on the
Okay,
right
that's too
moment. By
far.
the way, I just
Okay, let's
incredible.
play it from here. Okay, there it is. 41 total battles and 20.
I didn't
Yeah,
pause it.
41 total battles, 20 wins.
That's just
Okay, so we did the math on that. I knew that that was right around 50%, but I did the exact math on that, and that came back.
also. I'm already right. Is we're almost gonna hit 2 minutes here, and he's talking about I did the math. Okay, yeah, I have to wonder if he's going to admit to the part where I explicitly say that it's early in the fucking season. So it's not even indicative of the regular skill rating. I wonder if he's even going to bring that up.
Back into um, he has 41 battles and won only 20 in this video. That's 48.78% win rate, basically dead center in the EOMM comfort zone, right where the system wants players engaged but unsettled, rewarded just enough to stay, frustrated just enough to spend.
By the way, when he was saying, "Oh, it's not about money" in that later section, that's what I'm talking about. Is him outright basically saying it's not about money? What are you fucking talking about?
Since EOMM tends to keep players at 50%, like we went over with our video with Nade Shot, right? So let's go back up again and go ahead.
I gotta say also I love how the box is just like going with the camera because he didn't set it up to track the specific entity on the feed. I know I have this really zoomed in, but it doesn't really matter. It's the audio that's important. Um, but that's just funny that you didn't even bother, so my face was visible anyways. Great job.
And look at this. He pulls his win loss. He's at the top right now. He's going to go ahead and scroll all the way down to the very bottom.
Okay, so this is where I was talking about how consistency and performance metrics in game are a good secondary indicator
Of where it
of
all
it being there or
begins.
not.
Now, the first mistake that this player had made was looking at his KD ratios.
I didn't bring up KD ratios actually. In fact, the entire point was that it's not KD. It's the placement on the leaderboard and your score and everything. But of course, a Call of Duty guy wouldn't understand that,
Now,
especially not somebody who's never played the game.
I have demonstrated this on this channel. Basically, what I have showcased is that you're going to experience ups and downs in games.
But the entire point of this is that isn't there, which is how you know he didn't listen. I called it. What are we at? 2:30. Oh, I lost my bet with myself. Damn it. I owe myself money. But yeah, okay. So like I said, he's going to misrepresent everything. So that's what I was talking about. That curve of good matches, lion matches, and then there's sheep matches. Yeah, that's not a thing. And my stuff
Sometimes you're
shows it.
just going to straight up dominate. Like all of a sudden, you're a pro level player. Then all of a sudden you're going to experience where you become a pro level player at the beginning of a match, and then all of a sudden you just tank at the mid to end of match and lose the fucking round. Right?
Why are you fucking like? First off, you admitted you didn't play the game, so that's already wild. Great job. But then on top of that, you have the audacity to explain the very thing that my video goes on to talk about as evidence that it isn't happening. We'll have to see in these next like 7 minutes if he's going to even allow my audio to be heard, where I explain how that works, or if he's just going to tell you how that works, because that's not fair.
Right? Basically, that's what your KD represents. All right.
In Call of Duty, that's what your KD represents. Because this is not Call of Duty, you are trying to apply Call of Duty's logic to a game that's more akin to Battlefield.
Right. So I can't see exactly what's behind his video that he has pulled up. So I'm gonna guess that is a defeat. So when he
It doesn't matter if you can see it or not. Also, I'm like pretty sure it's not. I think that was a win, given. Well, no, it might not have been. I don't know. I can't go back and check, and I don't really care. But it shouldn't matter because your win-loss ratio, as I've explained, is not indicative.
started, his history went defeat, defeat, victory, victory. That's my first take. And then it changes up. Defeat, victory, victory, defeat.
Oh my God, you were really gonna try and use this as oh, that's a pattern. That's a pattern. No, let's scroll back a little bit. No, you know what? No, we're not, because I'm gonna scroll up in the video, and if he's being genuine, he would be allowing my audio to be heard, but he's not.
Let's go ahead and play that out. Remember, this is the pattern. Defeat,
That's
victory,
not a
victory.
pattern. That's just a coincidence, dude. Like you genuinely don't know what you're talking about. You're looking for. Okay, so this is what's. I don't remember the fallacy's name. Again, I don't know, don't care. But the point is the fallacy of looking for something. No, that's confirmation bias. That's the fallacy. He's using confirmation bias. He believes that he a thing exists, so he's looking for. Let's get this video actually. Probably cropped. That's close enough. Um, he believes he knows what he's looking for, and because he thinks he knows what he's looking for, he uses anything that proves what he's saying as evidence of it, which is not genuine. That's not how that works. Oh yeah, and of course he's not leaving my audio on because he doesn't want you to actually hear what's being said, because that would be too bad for his argument. It would completely shatter everything he's trying to say, because that would be unfair. Notice how I'm leaving his audio in. Oh, and I'm not hiding anything. I'm not like intentionally obscuring certain things. I just it was already, you can see it in the footage. It was already zoomed in. I'm not hiding stuff intentionally.
He pulls this up, shows how long he was in the match and why he had a KD of this or that. I don't care about that.
Oh, you don't care about that because it explains why the win loss ratio is a certain way, right? You don't care because it doesn't go with your narrative, right? Because the victory with only 2 kills, right? The 2 kills, right? Because that doesn't, like, first off, your entire point is defeat, victory, victory, defeat, victory, victory. If we scroll up
Defeat, victory,
just a
victory. Go
little
ahead.
bit, it
Go
only
ahead, scroll up.
matters
And what does
that
that say?
there's a
Defeat,
somewhat
victory,
of a pattern,
victory.
right? Because that's how it works, right? Not because of anything else, right? There's no other way that could possibly happen.
Okay,
Like, you're calling it a pattern as though that's proof. A pattern isn't proof. It could be evidence, but the other evidence that you are not allowing people to hear and you are intentionally not interacting with in the comments is the thing that's you're not allowing people to hear because you don't want them to hear the other evidence, right?
let's go ahead. Then we
All pattern's broken, right? Pattern's broken. Let's see.
got 3 victories in a row. Now watch what comes after that. 3 defeats. It's a pattern.
That's not a pattern. That's no longer a pattern. Okay, look. Any sequence of numbers can be described as a pattern to a certain extent. And I'm going to prove this. Let me find a coin here. I know I have a coin. Let's go ahead and explain this. This is a really scuffed up fucking quarter, right? There's heads. There's tails. Let's demonstrate what he is trying to explain, right? Heads I win, tails I lose. Cheers to you. That was a horrible flip. Heads I win. 1 win. That's tails. I lose. Let's do it that way. Tails I lose. I dropped it. Oh, that's a heads. Heads I win. So we're at 50-50 right now, right? And I'm not influencing this in any notable way. I'm literally throwing it, seeing how it goes, right? Let's see. See if we can break it. Holy shit. Oh, I think that's tails. Nope, that's heads. What do you know? Heads I win. That's 3-2 win. Oh. That's heads again. Where'd the pattern go? That's heads. Where'd the pattern go? You cannot use a brief scope as evidence of a pattern. A small sample size heavily skews the data, and you are looking at a small portion of it and saying, oh, this must be this because of this. You are using a fallacy that I don't know the name of, where you are saying, oh, there must be a pattern. So you're looking for a pattern. So you're using that confirmation bias. But you are also looking at it and trying to use something as proof of something else, but that doesn't line up that way. So let's keep going and let's see if he realizes the pattern doesn't continue.
That is the EOMM system balancing him out to keep him hovering around 50%.
Or it's that you can't see the contents of those matches, and because you don't play the game, you don't know what those symbols mean, right? let's go with this match here with the most symbols. That's vehicle destructions. That's something to do with vehicles. I don't remember what that one is. I don't use vehicles. So when I rarely use vehicles, weird shit starts happening where I can't tell you what certain things mean. I think that's 2 or more vehicle destructions in a match. I don't know what that one is. That one is also vehicle related. That's revenge kills. I think that's headshot kills, and that one's long distance or something like that. Um, I know this one's getting. Why? That's not right. Did they change something? Okay, so the reason I'm confused by this one in particular is that's the symbol for getting 50 plus kills in a match, but you can see that says 49, so I don't know what's going on there. It doesn't matter. The point is because he doesn't know anything about the game from not having played it, he can't speak to what these mean or allow you to hear what I'm saying to explain things. He just has this to go on. That's all he has. And because he doesn't play the game or know anything about the game, he can't accurately describe anything. He just goes off of what he thinks he knows and tries to convince you that he's right, but he doesn't actually have anything to go off of. But we'll see. He's got, 2/3 of the video left to pull it back around and give some proof, but so far nothing. Just I see a pattern. No, you don't. I just proved it with a coin.
It's enough frustration to keep the player, just enough wins and losses to keep them in a good mood, but also frustrated enough to actually spend.
Also, in addition to that, he is not aware of this, but his entire point hinges on victory, 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 defeat, defeat, defeat being a pattern. But if we look, we can see the day and time the matches happened. He hasn't said it, and I suspect he doesn't realize it. But if that was meant to keep you playing more, some of these things don't add up, right? 17th January in the middle of the evening. That's 8:30. 17th of January, like almost 9. 18th of January. That's like okay. That's probably not 24 hours. If that's 11, that's like 13. No, that's like 13 hours. It's roughly 13 hours later. So first off, we can see that this one is the 14th to the 17th. Big skip. I can see the 4, which means that if it's still January, it's the 14th, not the 17th. So there's big skips in time, right? I only played 3 games that day, right? Defeat was the last one of the day, but the first 2 were victories. And this one's at 1600. So by the way, once at like
Which
noonish,
was done in
whoops, stop, stop, stop,
studies.
stop, stop, stop. Once at like noonish, logged off, or maybe I was playing the other mode. I don't remember. This was in January. Um, Then once later at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, followed by one more. Wait, no, sorry, I skipped one. Jesus, one at like 3, and then one at 4, meaning that there was a huge gap of time between these two, and then these two were back to back. So his entire theory hinges on a pattern, which wouldn't make much sense if this defeat is 2 days after this one. And one day after this one. Or no, that's 4 days actually between this one and this one. But there's only one, not even one day between these two, right? Your pattern doesn't hold up to scrutiny when that's your explanation because it's a small sample size, right? Small sample sizes skews the data a lot. That's basic shit. Anyways, we got a lot of video to get through, and this is already over an hour and a half long.
When they built this system, again, guys, it doesn't take rocket science. It does not take rocket science. Some people will be able to get over that 50%, like we have demonstrated here on the channel. Just look at my comments. There's some people that are able to get over 50%. But then they hit that ceiling.
As I've explained, and I'm not pulling up the game to show it, I have people with 80% and people with 30 and below. If this was real, you can't see it in this video, but if this was real, what he's claiming, first off, the pattern doesn't exist. He's just totally full of shit on that one. But if that was true, his statement here of, oh, some people get over it, that far over it, and that far under it, that's not how that works.
And then, like for an example, some people in Marvel Rivals that I had here on the channel said that they were able to get the Celestial, but all of a sudden the game would start pushing them back down to the rank before it.
Oh, perfect. So because he doesn't know the game, he also doesn't know what that huge section on the right here is. He doesn't know what these are. That's rank ups. If the game was trying to push me down, my ranks would regularly not always be going positive. Now, wouldn't they? I would be seeing some fluctuation in rank, right? Right? Except he doesn't play the game. So even if he does point this out, what he doesn't realize is that's cosmetic only. It doesn't influence anything. In fact, that's one of the only things that the people who think it is in the game are mad about, is that rank doesn't actually influence anything. It doesn't have a matchmaking impact. Because these are Western players with no concept of Eastern game design, especially not Chinese game design. Holy fuck shit. I play a Chinese card game. In fact, I'll prove to you that I'm not full of shit. Unlike this guy. I bet it's in this box. Yeah, what do you know? There it is. God, I have a lot of card sleeves in there. This is a Chinese themed card game called Grand Archive. And it is, actually, I believe it is literally on there. No, it's not. It is a cultivation based game. You know where that concept comes from? China. And when you see words like rank in the West, you get people who do not understand that we use rank in the West in a very different way than cultures like China tend to do. And because of that, he doesn't realize that there's many things in this matchmaking system that do not agree with his initial assessment. But because he has the audio muted and you can't hear it, I am not watching the video myself again to go find out if I bring it up at all, but I know it's full of shit. Like, it's just actual bogus nonsense. Like, he's just not aware of what's being said. And he doesn't care because he doesn't play the game. He doesn't know he has an agenda to push. Always be careful of that.
And vice versa. Like they're stuck in
Vice versa. Vice versa? What the fuck? Goddamn.
areas. A lot of people will make Smurf accounts and try to play on two different accounts so that way they're not being manipulated but on one account.
No. God damn it. No, that's not the Smurf accounting. No. For Call of Duty specifically, the second account is you have an account that is Smurfed. It's intentionally bad to pull you into lower tier matchmaking so that you have that EOMM. That doesn't work with this game. I've tested it. That's why I say that I have that friend with like 0 wins. I don't play with him anymore because he quit because he was so fucking fed up with losing. It's actually funny. He's so mad about it. But he didn't have the storage space to deal with this game anyway. It's too big, but whatever. And the point is that only works in Call of Duty, and he's entirely misrepresenting what that second Smurf account is for. It's not for that. That's not how that account works. You don't actually play on the Smurf account.
And there's other things that in other ways to overcome EOMM, but just remember EOMM is an AI engine in the back.
Oh, god damn it with the AI shit. No, god damn it. Not everything is AI. I mean, yes, in this case it is, but it's an algorithm, not AI. Very different thing.
Background that's running because you're not a player, you're a profile.
Oh my god, not this shit again. Once again, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And this is where I was talking earlier about the East versus West philosophy and him not understanding the differences in the marketing strategy. God damn it, dude.
You are listed as a profile, not a player.
What's your social security number, bud? I mean, it wasn't originally intended for identification purposes, but that's what your social security number is. Like, that's what that is. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like everything is a profile. You have a fucking YouTube account. Everything around you is about your data that you have on you. Like, god damn it, dude, come on.
Every one of your matches are
Basic shit.
scripted. It's all
No, they're not. God damn it, dude. Like, you're so full of shit. Call of Duty does it, and that's all he understands, clearly.
scripted.
Once again, looking for an outcome and using anything else as evidence of it.
Game determines what kind of bracket it's going to put you into, whether it's a loss bracket, win bracket.
I
I've
wonder if
demonstrated
he's going
that
to
here
let the
on the
video
channel.
play on so that his
And
whole
it's the
theory
same
crumbles.
exact patterns that I've showcased in Marvel Rivals. Victory, 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 defeat, defeat, defeat. Let's go on. Let's see what else he got.
Victory. Oh, pattern's broken again, right? 1, 2, 1, right? It might go. Well, let me go further up.
After that,
nah, he stops it here. Your whole pattern theory just crumbled right before your eyes, dude. Are you really gonna try? He's really gonna try this.
loss streak, it gave him a victory.
That's not how that works. Oh my god. Yeah, I was right. He's really gonna just use this win-loss ratio as his entire crux of his argument and ignore everything else. If I wasn't initially right in how fast he was gonna not care about the reality, I was right that he doesn't care about reality.
To break the cycle.
Also, he has autoplay on. Ew, disgusting.
Then it gave him a defeat. Then, as you can see here, he has a give up.
Oh my god, dude. You're not really going to try that. First off, if you look at the stats, I think I know exactly what happened there, and I think I bring it up in the video. I'm pretty sure I bring it up in the video. I think I had something going on that day because that's at like 1:20ish in the afternoon on the 29th. Also, if you look at the dates and times again, 23rd, 29th. Followed by me just going and playing another match 2 hours later. Or no, it's almost 2 hours later. Your pattern theory doesn't work, dude. I clearly had something. I was clearly performing well, dude. Like, I had 10,000 score. Like, I don't think you are saying things that you understand. You clearly don't know what you're talking about. But you see these very specific snippets, and you ignore what's being said, which is why you have to mute it, because it doesn't agree with you.
Like we have demonstrated on this channel, what happens after you quit a match if you don't quit matches often? What happens when you quit a match? Or be disconnected from a match?
Brother, your whole argument now hinges on the fact that I gave up and then didn't come back for a couple of hours. Brother, it was the middle of the afternoon. I clearly had other shit going on. Like, there's a bunch of matches over an hour later after a huge period of not playing that often, and you notice that a lot of these are very clearly short matches because of my KD. Like, you can see I didn't have a lot of kills. I probably had a bunch of assists based on those scores. But they were also clearly like 5-10 minute matches that I was in rather than anything else. And I don't think I'm going to show that. I don't think I clicked on everything. But because he doesn't know what these symbols mean, and he doesn't check this information here over to here, he doesn't understand the deeper complexities, and he ignored it when I said it in the video, and he ignored it in my comments, as you've all seen.
Victory, 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 victory. You go on a small little winning streak.
No, that's not how that works. Because even if that was the case, then what was up with the 3 wins followed by 3 defeats? You claimed that was a pattern, and it happened once. A pattern has to happen at least more than 2 times. It has to be 3. That happened once. Didn't even happen a second time. Like, come on, man. Like,
in some cases, in rare algorithms, you'll go on a massive win streak followed up by a massive loss streak.
But that didn't happen. Because it didn't happen. You can see what times things happened because it didn't play again until almost 9 p.m. the next day after this. And that was when I got my first loss again. But you'll also notice that my score, my kills, and everything else were indicative of performing very well. I was at the top of that leaderboard, obviously, based on 20,000 score. Like, come on, man. What the fuck? Like, you clearly are being so full of shit because you've never played the game, so you wouldn't know what you're talking about.
With 1 or 2 wins in between. I have demonstrated this on myself and on Nadeshot, documented and put on this channel.
But of course, that doesn't matter because this isn't those games, and you've never played this game, so you don't know what you're looking at, and you're not even being genuine about the data that you're presenting, and you're not allowing me to speak in any way because I go against your argument. That's why you're not doing it.
So let's continue. Victory, 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 defeat, victory. What's he got up at top here? Defeat, defeat.
Oh, but you're not going to let it go again.
Now he's going over his logics of and his opinion about things, right?
Opinion? No, I'm explaining how the mechanics of the game work. But you don't play the game, so you don't care, and you don't want your audience to know how the game works. Because that's why I'm describing all these symbols and I'm explaining how the matches likely went out.
So here's the wins.
You've already covered that. Come on. Oh, what's that? It was a 5-minute match? Like I'm so glad that I actually talked about it in my video. Holy shit. I can't wait to see how he flips this.
Now he's showing this stuff. I don't care about this stuff.
God damn it. Of course. Of course that's how it is. I don't care about this stuff. But this is important. This is part of the entire argument. You can see that the other players have been there 5 times as long as I was. And yet, my score was comparable. My performance in terms of assists was very high. I had a lot of rescues and a lot of captures. I was only in the game for 5 minutes. I wonder why he doesn't care about that. Because it goes against everything he said, and it's exactly why I was saying it's not there. Disingenuous lying fuck.
This is where a lot of average gamers miss the point.
Average my ass. God damn it. You have to ignore all of the other information that I say in that video, which is why he doesn't want it to be audible to you. That's why he doesn't want you to care about any of the things that I'm actually saying or look at the score information. Because I'm not average. Yeah. If I was average, right? Why was I in the match for so long and performing on par with the rest of my team members, and yet I just had a shit ton of assists? And this symbol, so that I can explain this, because he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about this game. This symbol is time on objective. You have to earn 3,000 or more score from the objective, meaning you have to plant your ass there and do nothing. You cannot leave that objective. You have to get the majority of your kills and assists while on the objective. Your score has to be mostly objective. And in this case, that means 5,032 of my score were obtained not from the objective, which is likely from the assists. And as you can see, my capture stat was 5. And the only guy who had a lower than the rest of us was this guy, who had very similar score. We're all, 8 to 10,000. And it was a 20-minute match. So that, makes sense, about 52, for our bonus there. But what we see here is that we were reviving players a lot on our team, or at least we were reviving teammates. And we were actually, none of us could have revived other players because none of us were medics. But the information that we see here is likely what he doesn't want you to pay attention to, because it voids his theory that it's win-loss related. It's not. That's not how that works. But he doesn't know how the monetization in the game works, so he doesn't want to actually tell you about that because he doesn't know it. Which that skin that I'm using at the beginning of the video, that's the one that I spent like way too much on.
Come on.
Couldn't just timestamp the stuff, could you? But here we're getting back to it, and I guarantee he's about to try and explain how the win-loss thing works again. But as we see here again, by the way, once again with that symbol, yeah, that's the symbol for a lot of time objective. That's the symbol for redeploys. That's the rifle kills, which is 12 or more rifle kills. That's revenge, and I don't remember what that is.
So here's the win. Here's all the wins that he got in a row.
That was you've talked about this already. Come on.
Here's all the wins.
Get to it. Get to it.
Defeat, victory, defeat, defeat.
Skip it.
What's
Come on, go up. Skip it. I'm being awful hypocritical. All but 3 defeats in a row followed by 2 victories? Is that a pattern? No.
Defeat, defeat, defeat. Victory, victory, defeat.
Also, if we pay attention, 31st, 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 1st, 2nd. Like, I play a couple of matches a day, and this was back when I was way more invested in the operations mode than I am now. So it's it's not even indicative. Like there I don't think I get into the operations mode stats, but victory and defeat in that is very different. Like that's you extract or you don't, and that can be entirely for you stayed in the match too long, or you died, or a bot fucking killed you. Like that's victory and defeat in games is not as easily influenced as he's making it seem to be. But he doesn't want you to hear that stuff. He doesn't want you to hear anything that contradicts him.
Victory.
What's that? Victory, victory, defeat, victory, victory, victory. Where's your pattern, bud? Where's your pattern? Like, I don't need to know that this was a short match. I can tell. That was very clearly a short match. And I didn't play again for another hour. What the hell, dude? What's wrong with your theory here? It doesn't seem to be holding any water about times that things happen and the pattern that you brought up earlier, right? Where'd the pattern go?
Victory, victory.
But he's going to try and tell you the algorithm was just feeding me all these victories. First off, by the way, we are only just now approaching the point in time where it was that season's most recent stuff, because it's only like, or no, maybe this was all that season. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But point is that this was not content from the rest of the season after this video, where my win-loss rate was not sub 50 anymore.
Like he's going back down the list, I think.
No, I'm
Okay,
not.
so
I'm
defeat,
going
defeat,
up.
defeat, victory, victory, victory,
Oh, there's your pattern again.
defeat, defeat.
Oh, well, what's that? What's that? I'm not hearing you explaining or allowing me to explain this stuff. All the actual important information, because you can lose and it's counted, and this was clearly a very short match. But yet my performance was good enough to warrant a little bit of score, and I believe that was a late join bonus, because late join bonus is 10, meaning that this was such a late join. I wonder if I click on this. I'll shut up and see if I click on it. Please, please click on it. Please let me have been smart enough to click on that one.
Victory,
Please, please,
victory,
please, please, please,
victory,
please.
defeat, defeat, defeat. I
Oh, damn it. Click on the other one.
think I've proved my point here. I don't even have to buy the game and test it. That's what I was doing with Marvel Rivals in the beginning before I even decided to use AI to mirror it.
Oh, damn it, dude. Like, you're so full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. I used AI to mirror. What the fuck are
Because
you
hey,
talking about?
I'm made of you. That's what the AI system basically did. And that's how I broke the system. That's how I knew that these games were fucking rigged. And the players.
Some games. Some games are rigged. Also, you'll notice that this match for me and this guy lasted similar amount of time. Actually, I was in the game less than him. I didn't get any medals. I didn't do anything particularly noteworthy, but I captured a point. I got 3 assists and 6 kills and 9 deaths. So not positive, but both of our other teammates were in the game for damn near the entire thing for this guy, and probably the entire thing for this guy. So once again, he doesn't care about the actual information being presented, because it goes entirely against what he's trying to tell you.
They're not players. They're a profile, and that's how they're treated. And then they lie about it, so you buy their game because of how many people are speaking out about it.
Really? You're basically saying I'm shilling for this game? Like, first off, I know you've never played the originals, and they're not even on sale anymore, and clearly you're a console guy, and your computer sucks balls because you couldn't even run this. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, clearly you're not the kind of person to even care about this IP, and I know you play Call of Duty primarily based on your channel content. This video is already over 2 hours now, for sure.
So what do some
Probably not.
game
Maybe.
developers do? They hide the win rate or the win-loss history. So you have to keep track of it manually, so that way.
But then why isn't that done here? You had to ignore my entire comment? Like, I know this video was made before I made those comments, but even in the comments that everybody could see, you ignored the part where I explicitly proved that that's not the case. The win-loss rate is even for late joins. Intentionally.
You can bring it to light.
Your proof is falling apart.
I'm Uncle Rotcharm. Do you still think your games are not rigged?
I never said they weren't rigged. I just said this game isn't rigged. This isn't fucking Monopoly, dude. Like, nobody's cheating. Nobody's trying to deceive you. The fuck is the rest of
We
this?
old heads just know the truth.
Oh, God,
You are a profile that's put into a predictive model.
Well, this isn't
scripted
my
matches.
video, I can tell that.
I'll make a clip out of that. Skill-based damage in Delta Force 2?
No. Delta Force 2, god damn it. Okay, this isn't even about my video anymore, but we're going to skip out of it because it doesn't really matter. Look, the major point here, the big takeaway is that now we've not only seen what he had to say verbally, and we've seen that he has no intention of allowing you to hear anything that's being said, and he openly admits he doesn't care what's being said because he has his agenda to push. And as we've seen, my content is one, incredibly eclectic, and two, I don't respond to things positively on YouTube unless there's something to say. And about Delta Force, by the way, is one of the few games where I have a positive thing to say about it in a previous video back during the beta, but he doesn't really care about that. He doesn't care because he's going to misrepresent everything. So, I mean, sure, if you're going to black box somebody else like that down there, as he did at the end there, whatever. Okay, at least he's consistent. He's not just blacking out my face, he's blacking out everybody's. But he very clearly wants it to be there, and as he's showing, other people want it to be there as well. So when my negative voice comes out and says, it's not there, here's the proof, and I've been doing this for years, I've been playing games for years, like, I'm an IT guy, I know what I'm talking about, like, this is how the system works, this is the pyramid and everything, he doesn't care about that, because he didn't even attempt to show that. But it's just one of these cases where it's like, why do you gotta lie? Like, why do you gotta hide this stuff from people? Like, why are you using my video but not allowing anybody to hear what's being said? Like, you'll notice if you decide to watch my video, dude, that I am not, misrepresenting what you're saying. I'm allowing you to say it, and then I'm responding to it. I'm being fair. I'm allowing your side to be heard by other people, and I'm critiquing what you're saying. You are telling people what I'm saying, not very well because you don't actually play the game and you've admitted to it. And it was obvious. I didn't even watch this video until now. This is literally the first time I'm watching it, and I called you out on that earlier. I'm like, there's no way he's fucking played this game. There's no fucking way. And of course I was right. And you're telling people not to buy the game. It's free. The game is still free. Like, first off, as I showed earlier when I looked it up because I swore it was already out, it's not even out yet. You can't even play it on PlayStation because it's not out yet. I'm sure the beta's out yet. Actually, I wonder. I think I have the mobile version still installed. Oh fuck yeah, I do. Oh god, that's fuck. It's awful, but yeah, I have it. There it is. There's the mobile version. Don't play that. Genuinely, don't play the mobile version. It's fucking awful. Like, it's PUBG Mobile is one thing. Do not play Delta Force Mobile. It makes me want to vomit. It looks bad. It plays bad. I don't see any way that that's a rational idea. It's a bad idea. It doesn't really matter. But notice how he decides that he's right and that he doesn't allow anyone to hear what I've said. But while he is going to be banned because he has no intention of being honest, and I'm very big on honesty around here, and you only get banned for one of two things: lying, and or you are straight up just being a piece of shit and you have no intention of interacting, and he did both those things. He doesn't want to respond to what's being said to him, and he just wants to be a general piece of shit. Like, you have no intention of reading anything that's said to you, and you likely have no intention of presenting anything I've said with honesty. So you're just gone, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I wish you the best with your channel. Like, if this is the content you want to make, then, whatever. I think it's cringe, and I think you should go get a formal education. In fact, give me a second here. There's some textbooks that I can recommend that allow people to. Here's my two current textbooks that I'm going through. The two things that I would recommend for this guy are this. This is an old one, so you could probably find a copy of this for pretty cheap, I'd imagine. And you can get a Cisco 2960 switch, probably for like 100, $200 if you really wanted to, if you find one on Amazon, or you can find older ones too, and you can get a console cable at like Best Buy if you really care, and you can learn this stuff yourself. You can learn all about networking on your own for like nothing. And then the other one that I recommend is this one. I think the test is going to change this year. I think that the Sec Plus test is going to refresh in 2026, so we're going to get another version of it. But the contents of that book are great too. And then, because I love this one for referencing, It really is just the dumbest shit. But Python Crash Course and even the For Dummies books on Python are great if you want to learn to code and write your own programs. So I don't have the other one with me. I don't know what happened to it. I had the Net Plus exam book around here, and I guess it's not here anymore. But clearly, I like to think. I like to ask questions and learn shit, and I like to talk about technology, and I like to do all these things. So if you want to learn some shit on some tech and you want to actually get studied up, bud, those would be the three things I would recommend to you. Uh, Learning to program so you can write your own programs and not just code jockey and be a total loser like that. Python's a good start. CCNA is great for just learning your basic how do computers talk to each other, which is where you're going to learn what the fuck telemetry actually is and how what you said in that comment is fucking stupid. And then this one is just general for good best practices. And Sec Plus is a bitch. It makes me feel really fucking stupid. I took the practice exam and I failed. I failed with like a fucking like almost a 60%. Um, it was like a 50 question practice exam, and I got 17 of them right, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm stupid. Like I was not paying any attention. I was super tired, and I had just got the book, and I was like, oh cool, it's got this online section. Let me go do that. Thank fucking god, my actual job was networking and not security. Because oh my god. Anyway, that was how I knew I had to go fucking learn shit. I had to go through that book again. But the main point here, before this actually hits 2 hours of video that I have to then go through, is um, learn some shit. Like actually go learn some shit. Like I swore you had more videos. He deleted a bunch of his shit. What the fuck? He had more videos than this yesterday. I swear. He went back and deleted a bunch of them so that they wouldn't be visible. I wish they were visible because I could then prove that he's primarily a Call of Duty player. But he deleted those, so that's whatever. Um, oh, his channel anniversary is tomorrow. Happy channel anniversary to you. But you're banned from mine, so you have fun with that. But I do wish you the best, as I said. But I hope that you learn about what you're actually talking about, and that you get better if you're going to call people out on things and say, "Oh, this guy said this." I'll allow that guy to say it because I allowed you to talk. I gave you all the free, verbal and proof on screen, and I said my piece and you said yours, and you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying, but you should at least be honest. And I described how these systems work, and you just told people that it is a certain way. There's a difference, and as you admitted, there's a knowledge gap. One of us actually has the textbooks and does this for a job, and the other one is you, who just kind of I play games, so I know it. Like, cool, great, good for you. Like, so do I. I've been playing games since like I was like 5. Like, it's been over 20 years now. I have 20 years of playing games. Um, and you're clearly a console player, as you said. You wanted to get it on PlayStation because your computer doesn't allow you to play certain games, and whatever. But it's just sad, man. Like you could be doing so much better. Like if you're gonna say things with such definitiveness, prove what you're saying. Don't say this is a pattern. Again, coin thing I showed, a pattern stopped existing pretty quickly in your thing. And notice how you didn't bring up the pattern again because it no longer existed. So it no longer proved your point. So you had to fall back on, well, this is how it works in Call of Duty, where it feeds you this match. That was that lion sheep thing that I explained. But as I said, Call of Duty doesn't count your losses when it's a late join, but it does when it's a win, and things get iffy, and all these things stack up against what you're claiming, And because you hear me explain that in the video, you don't let people hear it in your version of things, and you just want it to be a certain way, which is unfortunate because there's no reason to be doing it. There's just not. So yeah, I have nothing else to say. I'm just rambling at this point, and I'm just like I have a term paper I have to go write for my psychology class that I'm taking, and I regret taking it. I'm not enjoying it. It sucks. Um, but I have to take it if I want a degree because I've been working and I don't have official certifications, and I said I should, but it's my career, so I probably should get it, and the government's paying for it, so I need to do it. But with that said, I'm just gonna head out because I have nothing else to say about this, as I said. So yeah, arrivederci. Fuck out of here.